News has just come out that the Toronto Raptors have officially fired head coach Nick Nurse, which is coming as a major shock to a lot of Toronto Raptors fans. Yes, we've heard the rumors over the past couple months, but I know a lot of people were sort of writing it off as just smoke and all that sort of drama. But when Nick Nurse made those comments in Philadelphia a couple months ago, apparently he added fuel to the fire because now there wasn't even a mutual parting ways. The Toronto Raptors outright fired Nick Nurse as their head coach, which comes as a major shock just in the grand scheme of things. The coach that won us a championship, that won coach of the year, that last off season, Masai Ujiri was out here deifying him, following the season, the miraculous run we went on to shock everyone's expectations to reach the 5 seed last season. The Toronto Raptors have officially fired Nick Nurse. We've had some insane Woj bombs come out today, so we'll break it all down in this video. And Masai Ujiri's ended up speaking on the presser in the next couple hours, so we'll definitely break down what he has to say. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with all of this news. But the first thing we got to look at is basically Shams, Woj. They both came out and said the Raptors have officially fired head coach Nick Nurse. Right? It's made official. It's coming from Woj and it's coming from Shams, even though that's not the blue checks have disappeared on the day where the blue checks have died. But basically, also coming from Wojnarowski, followed it up saying that Celtics head coach Ime Udoka is expected to be a serious candidate to replace Nick Nurse. So not only do we know that Nick Nurse has now been fired, Ime Udoka, it's not coming from some minor source, some minor reporter. Wojnarowski, right? The Woj bombs himself have officially named Ime Udoka as a potential candidate to come in and coach the Toronto Raptors, which is an absolute insanity, right? If you told me this last offseason, the coach that brought the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals could come in and replace Nick Nurse, I'd say you're having a fever dream. But it seems like that might be the guy that's going to replace Nurse. But there's more tweets coming on basically saying that Nurse has immediately become a prominent candidate in the Houston Rockets coaching search according to ESPN. He won the 2018 Coach of the Year as Raptors coach and was voted, won the championship and then was voted Coach of the Year, right? So, the rumors and stuff regarding Nick Nurse potentially going to Houston, those seem to be coming true, right? Everyone flames all these random beat reporters. They flame us for covering those topics and all that, but now it's coming from Woj. So it seems like Nick Nurse is sort of filed in to potentially go down there in Houston. We'll see what that means about Fred VanVleet and the future of that team down there. But it's a madness out here. And basically, Adrian Wojnarowski said that Nick Nurse, Masai Ujiri and Nurse met several times since the end of the season to discuss how they might move forward together. But a breakup felt inevitable. Nurse had 1 year and $8 million plus left on his contract. So even though the Raptors did come out and fire him, I'm pretty shocked. I'm absolutely shocked the Raptors didn't at least say to Shams and Woj, hey, say it's a mutual parting ways. A little bit more respectful, right? For a coach that won you a championship and was so highly regarded in the organization for such a long time. But no, they decide to cut ties with him, give him that fired label, even though they've been deciding how things might work going into the future. But this is absolute madness, right? I'm going to give my reaction once we get through all of the sort of reports, all the news. Basically, this is the quote that Masai Ujiri gave to Josh Luenberg, saying that the decision to make this change is never arrived easily or taken lightly, especially when it comes to a person who has been an integral part of this franchise's most historic accomplishments, and who has been a steady leader throughout some of the team's most challenging times. As we reflect on Nick's many successes, we thank him and his family, and wish him the best in the future. This is an opportunity for us to reset, refocus, and put into place the personnel and the players that who will help us reach the goal of winning our next championship. So that's Nick Nurse's quote, or that's Masai Ujiri's quote on Nick Nurse getting fired. And I mean, with all of the post-regular season, whatever you call those end of season press conferences, the things that Nick Nurse said, the things that the players said, it looked like he was potentially going to stay, right? All the players seemed to have his back. Nurse had his eyes towards the future and all that, but no. Masai Ujiri, there was a reason he pushed back his end-of-season press conference, because he wanted to figure all these things out. So at least we have a reason now in terms of why Masai Ujiri took so long to come out with these meetings. We'll hear more from him today, but Holy smokes. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the first thing I want to say, as I've just went on a big rant about everything that's been going on in the past hour, I want to thank Nick Nurse. Obviously won us a championship, a coach of the year, was a big part of some of the best seasons in Toronto Raptors history. Took a lot of underachieving teams or teams that didn't have the greatest of expectations, helped them become, overachieve, right? Especially last season, that 2020 year. Those are 2 seasons where he put on a coaching masterclass. So shout out to Nick Nurse. Always will hold him in a high regard, even if this season, as a lot of our comment sections and a lot of Raptors Twitter, Reddit, and have all been saying, it was time to part ways. So shout out to Nick Nurse. I don't want to bash him on his season out. I am still shocked, but I get why this happened. Even though Nick Nurse is a basketball genius, he's runs these intricate offenses, these defenses, it just wasn't clicking with our current group, right? They weren't integrating our defensive schemes consistently, and even though they all said the right things in the end of season press conferences, it did seem like there was a lack of motivation. There's a lack of consistent effort out there. They would tune him out, right, as head coach, and it's time for a change, right? It's time for a change. So it's not a bad reflection on Nurse being a horrible coach or something like that, but it was just time to move on. So thank you to Nick Nurse. I don't want anyone bashing him in the comment section, calling him a trash coach. He gave us, sure, the last season was a blemish on his history with the Toronto Raptors, but overall, he had a tremendous tenure. He's the most accomplished coach in Raptors history, so congratulations to him for, having a great run as Toronto Raptors, with the Toronto Raptors for the past 10 years. But what does this mean for the Raptors going forward, for the future? Now, I know a lot of people are sort of saying Fred VanVleet is Nick Nurse's little, teacher's pet or whatever you want to call it, giving him consistent minutes even when he's struggling, never getting benched, not even playing any of the backup point guards and all that. This might have an impact on his potential future with the Raptors, right? What happens there? And some people are saying that he might follow Nick Nurse to Houston if they offer him a big contract, so we'll see what ends up happening with Fred VanVleet. But I'm more interested in seeing what Masai Ujiri does now with this team, with this roster, because we've seen times in the past when a team underachieves, but GMs like their roster, they're like their amalgamation of talent. They like how things have sort of gone. They say, hey, we're going to keep this roster together and fire the coach. Use the coach as a scapegoat, blame him, and then hopefully bring in a new voice and things will end up working out. And while I don't think that's necessarily going to 100% not work for the Raptors this next season, because we did acquire Jakob Poeltl, who was a huge plus, filled a big hole, right? And we do have a lot of talent on this roster. Maybe a new voice in the locker room can help this team achieve the successes that we were expecting coming into this year. I would be very disappointed if that's the route we decide to go down, because there are some clear holes in this roster, especially in regards to shooting and especially in regards to playmaking for this team going next season. And I don't care if you get prime Phil Jackson or some of the prime Greg Popovich, one of the best coaches in NBA history, to come in and coach this team. We are not going to take a significant jump into championship contention just with the roster as is right now. Moves have to be made. I don't want the Raptors to sort of sit back and just do nothing now that we fired Nick Nurse and say, oh, that was our big move for the offseason. We need to adjust this roster. We need to see some shakeups, especially in the playmaking, the bench, the shooting areas. So it's going to be interesting to see if Masai Ujiri sort of just kicks back and lets this new coaching regime sort of ride coming into next year, or if he decides to, this was a major, right? This is a major Woj bomb. This is a major moment in Raptors history right now. We just witnessed, I'm getting this video out during work, so during lunch. I'm taking my lunch now to record this vid, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to come for the Raptors. We'll see. We'll have a better idea once Masai Ujiri makes his comments, but this is just an initial raw reaction to what's actually happening with this team. But I don't know. Moves have to be made. We need shooting. We need playmaking. And stay tuned to the Raptors Digest to stay up to date on all the rumors. So we've been talking about Nick Nurse potentially getting fired for the past couple months, right? Stay tuned for the latest, all the latest news coming in this offseason. But folks, you guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel. I'm in utter shock. I didn't even get to talk about Ime Udoka. We'll talk about him in future vids. But thank you again to Nick Nurse. We'll see what ends up happening with this team. Cheers.